Hello, welcome to the Fishbowl Experiment. I'm Max. The Fishbowl Experiment is a podcast where unexpected conversations take place. Every episode, we have a different topic designed to inspire reflection and sharing between our host and the strangers they meet. Today, though, I've got someone I know a little better than a stranger. My co-producer Riley is joining me. We'll both be pulling questions from the bowl, so yes, that means that I'll be answering questions for the first time. This is our final episode. In celebration, today's theme will be endings. We will reflect on life, death, what it really means for something to end, and by the end of this episode, we'll reflect on the Fishbowl Experiment as a whole. I'm glad you joined us today. Enjoy. Hello.
Hey.
Thanks for sitting down. What's your name?
I'm Riley.
Hi, Riley. I'm Max.
Nice.
You may know me.
I kind of know you, Max. I've been watching you from behind the camera the whole time.
Yes, because of course Riley here has been working with me on the Fishbowl Experiment. This is our third, and it's going to be our final episode here.
Oh.
So we figured today we would talk about the show, a little bit of retrospective, and in that, our theme for today will be ending and finality.
Yeah.
So I think that's a fitting theme for
our
final episode, and I thought it'd be nice if we talked it, and because I know we've had to cut it out of episodes, but people have sometimes asked me questions back.
Yeah.
And so
yeah, we wanted to play with that a little bit.
So I figured I would answer a few.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah, theme is ending and finality, so I'll have you go ahead and start off.
All right, let's do it then.
Per usual.
Sounds good. What's an uncomfortable change you've experienced within your life? Ooh, that's a little rough. I think probably the biggest one for me was just realizing of just growing up and kind of the closing of chapters in life in general. I think that one has been a very interesting one, especially within like high school. I graduated high school during like peak COVID times.
Oh, yes.
So that was kind of rough. Obviously, I had a lot of things planned. I always reminisce. I was supposed to go on like tour with a choir. I was supposed to go visit New York for the first time. I was supposed to do like all of these like grand, amazing things that year. And just COVID just was like, nope, we're not going to do that for you. Which I am lucky that I was not hit a lot harder as many more unfortunate people were, but just like it was tough because a lot of that stuff mattered to me personally, and I was really excited about it. And so there's an interesting way of when you think that's the ending of a chapter and it just doesn't end the way you expect it to.
It sounds like even within that kind of unexpected end, there was still some kind of beginning. Like
yes.
It wasn't just what did you kind of figure out in the meantime?
Yeah,
amidst that ending.
I mean, it was interesting. It was an interesting time. I went to college and learned a lot about myself there for sure. And I'm soon going to be graduating college, which is pretty exciting.
Congratulations.
So, yeah, thank you. Very excited about that. And, yeah, it's just, it's amazing how life just kind of works out sometimes. You think things are going to end out working out a different way, and then life is just like, nope, it's going to end out a different way.
Of course.
But I think that's a beautiful thing, and I mean, this is kind of a end to that too.
Well, I guess, should I
pull
a question now? I don't even know how to do this. If there's a technique.
You just pick.
All right.
You do what your heart tells you to do.
Just take this one off top. Okay. Do you think anything really ends? Ooh. I remember writing this question.
That's a deep one.
I mean, I think some things, I think most things do, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to sit here and be, faux philosophical.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Everything's flowing, and there's something to that. But I think a lot of things do end, and I think it's something I try and be aware of that, or understand that and use that idea, where like, you kind of got to let things end.
Yeah.
There's no need to force something to go on forever. If it's past its time, you know, you just have to let it suffice and be as it was, and move on to the next thing. And I don't think there's some sadness in things ending, but I feel like to say that, you know, well, maybe it never really ends. It like lives on, because sure, like, you know, this will live on, and, and it's out there, and we created it, and it's been wonderful and a lot of fun. But I think it's also, you know, time for it to wrap it up here, and I think that's fun. You know, we had it like it was, and this is the end of it, but we'll start new things.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it'll be really great.
Yeah.
Whatever that next thing is.
No, and I do feel like you spoke about something of, like, I think a lot of people are fearful when things end. But I think that's something that you kind of learn as you go through life, that it's not all of those endings are something to be feared, or it's like, obviously feel grief about those things.
Of course.
But life does continue on after that, and even though it's the end of something, it's always the beginning of something else.
It's always the beginning of something better.
Yeah.
Maybe not always better, but always something good.
Yeah, it's something different.
And that good thing too will eventually end. And
yeah.
that's okay.
Exactly.
That's just how life is.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. All right. All right.
I think it's back to you now, Riley.
Yeah, I think so. Let's see. No, come back. What do you think happens when you die? Ooh, I wrote this one.
Oh.
So this is like my weird thing, and I don't think you know about this that much, is that I really like very openly talking about, like, death.
Oh, interesting.
I don't
think I knew that.
No, I don't really like to talk about it a lot to people, just because I'm like, everyone's experiences with death is very different. And obviously, I'm like, I want to make sure I'm kind to that, obviously. But no, what I think, I have a very interesting theory of what happens when you die.
Oh, I'd like to hear it
then. I think everyone's, like, pantheons and like, religions, whatever their ideal of the afterlife is real. Okay? So then everyone's happy. But I think, like, let's say, like, I grew up in a very Christian family, and we are since not Christians anymore. But I've gone on a very much, like, spiritual journey, and I've connected with just other religions and practices, specifically, like, more spiritual kind of just practices in general. But I'm like, obviously, I still want to see my family when I die. I believe that there is some sort of afterlife. But I think there's, like, it's like a full system of, like, passports, and you can get, like, a visa to go to the Christian afterlife.
Oh, that's really fun.
Or, like, the, like, whatever faith you have of, like, it doesn't matter, obviously, should you choose, and you can be, like, a dual citizen if you, like, grew up Christian and have other values as you've experienced, but, like, still hold on to those things. I'm like, I just think that's a fun idea for an afterlife.
I think that's really nice and sweet, because it allows for plurality in that way, where it's not, you know, so restricting to one belief needing to be right. It kind of still allows room for people to view things differently, and I love that. It's like you get to pick your afterlife, like it's some kind of retirement home.
Exactly. That's also a good comparison as, like, a retirement home of just, like,
that's fun. Yeah.
Yeah. And
it's not too disrespectful, I don't think.
No, and I'm like, and if you're an atheist,
I know a lot of people
I'm like,
have takes about the afterlife that
and
can
it's
be,
like, if you're an atheist and you don't believe in, like, any god, or, like, you don't believe in any afterlife, like, that's also chill. There's also a place for you in the afterlife, but it's just, you just hang out in your body in the ground. How do you do that? I don't know, because the world works in mysterious ways, but that's always been, like, my weird idea of it. But I think it's kind of cool, and I'm like, I think it's fun. But yeah,
it's similar to, like, what we were just saying about, like, I mean, there's an end in that where, you know, you die and life is over, but then, hey, afterlife, like a new beginning again.
Yeah.
It's So I think we're kind of realizing that when things end, there's just a new beginning.
Also, I believe there is an entire like section that's just that's just a giant dog park for dogs.
Nice.
Because
Are they the only animal that gets one?
Oh, no. They get, like, any animal gets it. But I'm, like, specifically dogs. I feel like they have, like, a whole entire, like, dog park and, like, area that they can just hang out in.
Interesting.
And I firmly believe that because I think
all dogs... Are you allowed to go visit that one?
Oh, yeah.
Good.
You can meet your dog or, like, any animal that you had that has passed away. Because I'm like, if I can't see... Like, my dog is still alive, but if, like, I can't see her in the afterlife, I will be so upset.
No, that's fair.
So.
Well, that was, that was really sweet. Okay, and so, Riley.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining me today.
Of course, it's so much fun.
And thanks for, being a part of this very fun thing that we've made.
It's been so much fun to work with you.
I have one final question
set
aside.
Secret question.
Because usually, like, only one person will answer a question. We never reuse them.
Yeah.
But I think this is one that should apply to both of us.
Yeah.
And I'll let you go first.
Okay.
It's, how do you feel about having to move on from the Fishbowl Experiment?
Ooh. It's kind of bittersweet because I'm going to be honest, I'm kind of excited because these hour-long, like, recording days, were very difficult sometimes. I mean, that was something we learned from the first episode, was a 4-hour recording session, right?
Yeah.
When we were in the hallway of that college that's around here.
Do you mind?
Sir?
Sir,
Sir, please stop flying over us. So the first recording was a little difficult. That was like our 4-hour one, right?
It was pretty long.
Yeah. And I think it was our first time recording it, and we were in the hallway of like this college building that is nearby. And it was just difficult for me, especially because I'm not doing the talking like you were.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of sitting there. Obviously, I'm making sure that the camera and everything is working, but it was just like, okay, I can capture some behind the scenes, but at the same time, it's just sitting there. But then it was fun to be able to listen to the conversations when we did have people walk up and answer questions, and they were always very kind human beings. I've loved the people that we've gotten to talk with and hearing their stories. But it is sad because I think it's just been a really fun joint project that I remember like you pitching this idea, and when we were in like first pitches for deciding on what shows we wanted to do for the channel, of just like none of the crew was really interested in doing a show like this, and I'm like, I understand why, obviously, but I was kind of also just like, dang, what are we doing? Like, this sounds fun. So yeah, I'm just happy that you were able to have that idea and that you were receptive to my ideas too, and so it's been fun. And I'm like, I think it would be cool if we did an episode like couple years down the line.
That would be fun.
I think that'd be just kind of funny.
Episode. Yeah.
But yeah, I know that this has just been a fun project to do, and I'm excited and just happy that we've made it. So it's a very happy end to this podcast.
Triumphant.
Yeah.
In a way.
For sure. What about you?
Yeah, I think similar to like what you were saying, where I really loved this, and obviously, like you said, it was my idea first, and you came in with your own great ideas with it. But I feel like, I have other things going on in my life, and as much as I've loved doing this, it's like, where I place my energy is, I foresee not being able to continue placing it into this, so that's part of why, gotta call it now. And in a way, I'll miss those long, sleepless editing nights. They're draining, but there's something so charming about just being so tired and spending so many hours sitting in a room, editing a video and making just the most minute changes to something. And I like the amount of times I've been like, do I cut a conversation here at this word, or do I cut it at this word? So that kind of stuff, it's fun, and I'm sure I'll have opportunities to do things like
For
that
sure.
in the future. But and like you said about the actual recording, we kind of it was interesting to kind of see like how people interacted with us where when we weren't talking to people, and we'd just be sitting out, and in those multiple hour recording days we there was only a handful of conversations that we never ended up using.
I think there was only
got a few
one, two, I think
two, I want to say, and
it wasn't because they said anything bad.
No,
it was just
yeah, for
we
timing
just didn't have
purposes
time in the
and
episodes,
whatnot. But it was it's interesting that like I was kind of hoping that people would be a little more interested in stopping some more, and I don't know if it happened as much as I expected, which in itself is something to take note of or think about, but it doesn't necessarily say anything bad.
No, I don't think so.
Because these are like questions that have cut a little deeper. It's
and especially
if you're on your
like,
way to somewhere.
It's
really
like if you're just on your way, just hanging out, and it's like, and you come down probably thinking that it's like, oh, what's your favorite part of whatever, or like, what's your favorite song right now, or like that kind of thing.
What song are you listening to right
exactly. It's like it very because of the social media and a lot of shows that I think we're a lot inspired by. At least in format and kind of that aspect. I think it's interesting how we've kind of flipped it on its head and just, I will always say it of like, you have such a natural ability of taking such human and genuine interest in other people, and that's something that's really admirable, and that's a skill that will carry you very far in life.
I really appreciate that.
And that is something that has just been nothing but on display here. So yeah.
And I'll miss it. It's an end, but there will be new beginnings happening soon. And
exactly.
What was your favorite? This is another question.
Yeah.
What was your favorite? Because I know you didn't have the conversations
as
much, but who was your favorite like guest, if you remember names?
I don't think I can remember names, but I think there was one that I know it resonated with me. I think it was actually our first guests that we had on. It was that duo in the first episode.
Lucy and Mel, I want to say.
Yeah. I really loved their message about just kind of, doing what you want and just kind of being yourself and that kind of thing. That's a message that I very much try to embody and share with the world. And so it resonated with me a lot. But I also think the girl who, I think it was our second episode, that it was, I think it was our first guest, where she
Sarah.
talked about...
or was it Lainey?
I can't remember. But she talked a lot about of just like how she can kind of be a toxic person. And
that was Dasha.
Dasha, yes. Her. I loved just her truly reflection on herself. Like that was just
very
so
candid, very earnest.
Candid and just so genuine. And I'm like, that's so amazing that she was able to, have that reflection on herself. And I think we kind of saw like a person, I think that there was maybe a chapter closing in her life, and obviously we don't know a lot about her, but I think there was like maybe a slight we saw something in there.
We were peeking in at a moment.
There was a I think we caught her in a very interesting moment, and I really hope that she's just doing well, and I hope that she's that reflection, and I hope at least one of the people that we've talked to, and encouraging them to take a minute out of their day and just reflect on humanity, life, all that kind of thing. I really hope that has encouraged them to continue to try and do those moments more, because I think they're just really healthy for people. So I hope that even as we've been able to do that so much as one person, but even if it's for a viewer like you. So
I think from the second episode, my favorite was Dasha. She had really great self-insights, and that ability to just be so like straight up about the negatives I really loved that. And from our first episode, really loved talking to our guest Candace, because she also just had great ideas.
She seems wonderful. She seems like an awesome person to get like a cup of coffee with. You know what I mean?
It did feel a little bit like that. No, she was she was just super smart and, really fun insights. It sticks with me to still our conversation about, like, making bad art and doing that intentionally.
And the merits of that.
I think that's so wonderful.
Yeah.
So I think that's been my favorite guest we had on here.
Yeah. It's been fun.
Yeah, and it's been fun to be a guest myself, and you be a guest as well.
Yeah, this has been a fun last episode for us.
So I think, with that question, we'll probably call it here on the Fishbowl Experiment.
I think so.
It's been a good time.
Yeah.
The experiment is over.
Yeah, we have finished our experiment.
Maybe for now. Maybe someone can pick it up later.
Yeah.
But at least with our time experimenting out
Yep.
here.
And I say we've learned a lot.
I do too. I think so. And I think we've learned a lot today.
Yeah.
So.
That too.
Well, Riley, I've had a good time.
Thank you, Max.
Hope you have a good day.
You too.
And I'll see you around.
Alrighty. See you around, Max.
Thanks for joining the Fishbowl Experiment.
Thanks for starting it.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to the Fishbowl Experiment. I'd like to extend a special thank you to my co-producer Riley for having a great conversation with me today, and for helping to make this series possible. I'd also like to thank all those listening. I hope you were able to get something out of these conversations, an insight, a thought, or a value you may not have come across otherwise. I've greatly enjoyed getting to sit down and talk with all of these wonderful people. Thank you.